Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah. We are very fortunate to gather in the virtual international conference on Ubiquitous Education and Learning VICUEL 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin our ceremony today, I would like to invite Ustad Juhazrin Junaidi to recite the Dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. O Allah, all praise is due to you. There is no deity except you. To you belongs as much praise as the fill of the heavens, the earth, and everything else you wish. You are worthy of praise, glory, and the most truthful words a slave can ever say, and indeed, we are all your slaves. O Allah, none can prevent what you bestow, nor can anyone bestow what you prevent. We seek refuge in your pleasure from your wrath, and in your pardon from your punishment. Forgive us our sins and remit from us our evil deeds and make us among the righteous. You are great in pardoning. Grant us your pardon for our parents, our teachers, and for all mankind. O Allah, let the beginning of VICUEL 2020 filled with good, the middle prosperous, and the end successful. We ask you to grant us the good of this world and the end of the hereafter. O most merciful of all who show us mercy. Ya Allah, Ya Fattah, Ya Alim, we seek refuge in you from all difficulties, from the burden of hardship throughout this conference, and protect us from bad deeds and from our hearts going astray from your guidance. Ease us in our affairs and facilitate us in the right path. O Almighty Allah, make useful for us what knowledge you grant us, and teach us knowledge that will be useful to us for the goodness of all mankind. There is nothing easy except what you make easy, and you make the difficult easy if it be your will. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you very much, Ustads. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the virtual international conference on Ubiquitous Education and Learning VICUEL 2020. Please welcome our distinguished guest, Professor T.S. Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University Technology Malaysia, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono, MSI, Dean, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, Professor Dr. Fatin Alia Punk Abdullah, Chair of School of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, UTM, Professor Sri Rahayu, Master of Education, PhD, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, UNM, Dr. Santa Tusairi, MSI, Vice Dean for Student Affairs, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, UNM, the Directors of VICUEL 2020, Dr. Nur Azian Atan from UTM, Dr. Habidin from UNM, participants and presenters of VICUEL 2020. Alhamdulillah, we are here to attend the virtual international conference on Ubiquitous Education and Learning VICUEL 2020, organized by Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities UTM, with collaborative organizer from Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. The theme of this conference is Reform and Innovation in Education. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono, MSI, the Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, to deliver his speech. Prof, would you please unmute your speaker, your mic?
Thank you, Dr. Jamila. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On behalf of Faculty Mathematics and Natural Sciences Universitas Negeri Malang, we say thank you to Professor Zaida, the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University Technology Malaysia, to inviting us to be collaborator in this conference. Dear distinguished keynote speakers, the excellent participant, member of the committees, ladies and gentlemen. Let us begin by praising Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and thanking all the committees for their stewardship of our conference. Our heartfelt thank you and utmost gratitude to the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities University Technology Malaysia (UTM) for inviting us to be the collaborator for this conference. Indeed, it is an honor for us. It is a fantastic to see that this conference has successfully attracted many delegates ranging from the presenters, experts, and participants in the field of ubiquitous learning, education, and STEM. This conference will allow us to learn new ideas from each other, which we could adopt to further improve our work in the relevant area. Many researchers have commented on how to practice education amid the disruptive era, and especially nowadays we are facing the pandemic COVID-19. Thus, through this conference presentation, best practices will be shared based on their excellent practical learning activities and experiences. The change in focus from just the high-level professionals to the broader and profound educational discourse, especially considering the challenge of the 21st century learning and life skills is welcome. The increased focus on STEM education, well-being in education, and transformative learning is also an appropriate development. Moreover, we would like to congratulate to the committees on the virtual international conference on ubiquitous education and learning, VICUEL 2020, for this fruitful conference. The conference success is the result of the commitment of all parties and the attendance of VICUEL 2020. For speakers, presenters, and participants, we hope that VICUEL 2020 will be a memorable impression in our memories. We wish a pleasant day to all and hope that you enjoy the conference. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to call upon Professor T.S. Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, the Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, UTM, to deliver her speech and also to officiate the opening ceremony of VICUEL 2020. Please welcome, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Dr. Jamila. First of all, my friends and distinguished guests from Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono, the Deans of the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Professor Dr. Fatin Aliapang as a Chair of School of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, UTM, Professor Sri Rahayu, from the Faculty for Mathematics and Science, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, Dr. Sentet Kushairi, MSI, as a Vice Deans of the Student Affairs, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, and of course, the two directors of VICUEL 2020, Dr. Nur Azian Atan from UTM and also Dr. Habibuddin from Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to deliver my speech and also will open the VICUEL 2020. And of course, I would like to welcome also all the participants and presenters of VICUEL 2020s, our virtual participants from YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much for joining us today. So as we know that we're having our seminars today between two universities, University Technology Malaysia and Universitas Negeri Malang Indonesia. And I believe this seminar is not only collaboration between two universities, but it's between two countries. Okay, VICUEL 2020's the Virtual International Conference on Ubiquitous Education and Learning, I believe will encourage all the professors, academicians, and scientists and researchers, even students at the postgraduate levels, to share their research and findings related to ubiquitous educations and learning. With the situations of COVID-19 nowadays, I believe the themes of this conference is really aligned with the needs of all of educators around the world. As we know that the themes for today's conference is reform and innovations in educations. We might be saying that our area, social sciences and humanities, is not like other areas in the world like engineering, pure science, and and medicals. But I believe social sciences and humanities, with the titles of today's conference, we able to share with all of our friends around the world that how do you innovate and invent some things related to teaching and learnings at higher eds. So today's conference with the ubiquitous learning, I believe ubiquitous learning is not a new term. It actually has been there since 25 years ago. But with the situations of COVID-19 nowadays, the relevance of ubiquitous learning, we can see it very clearly nowadays. So with the paradigms of ubiquitous learning, it makes teaching and learning possible anywhere at any time with any devices around the world. So with that, I believe the prospective presenters and authors of today's sharing session, you are quite lucky enough to have this conference so that we can able to share especially the best practices related to ubiquitous learning between two countries. And also with the sharing sessions today, maybe some of us can actually duplicate it and implement it in our class so that we can continue the sharing of knowledge with others, especially with our students. So for both universities, University Technology Malaysia and Universitas Negeri Malang Indonesia, thank you very much for having this kind of strategic collaborations, having the VICUEL 2020s together between two universities and two countries. And of course, this kind of initiative should be continued in the futures. I believe this is not going to be the first and the last collaboration between two universities, UTM and Universitas Negeri Malang Indonesia. We're going to have more sharing sessions, conferences between two universities and two countries for the benefits of nations. So thank you very much again to all the committee members who actually work hard towards to make sure that the VICUEL 2020 will be successful today. And of course, to the both two directors of VICUEL, Dr. Nur Azan Atans, Dr. Habibidins, thank you very much for your cooperations and work hard, and also to all the committee members from both university. So with that, with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, it's my pleasure and honor to declare open the virtual international conference on ubiquitous education and learning with the themes of reform and innovation in education. With that, I end my speech with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor T.S. Dr. Zaidatun Tasir. our beloved Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, UTM. Ladies and gentlemen, to officiate our very first joint conference, VICUEL 2020, between University Technology Malaysia and Universitas Negeri Malang, I would like to invite Professor T.S. Dr. Zaidatun Tasir, the Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, and Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono, MSI, the Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, to the screen for photo session with the certificates of collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, the VICUEL 2020 keynote session will be held after this ceremony. We hope for your kind cooperation to participate in the session. Thank you in advance. That's the end of the opening ceremony. We hope VICUEL 2020 brings a memorable and fruitful memories to all of us. Thank you and have a pleasant day. Ladies and gentlemen, for the attendance, please fill in the Google form from the link listed on the Facebook comment. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first keynote sessions of the VICUEL 2020. Please welcome our first keynote speaker, Professor T.S. Dr. Zaidatun binti Tasir, Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University Technology Malaysia. We are honored to have you here, Prof. Please allow me to read the biodata of our first speakers. Our first speaker, Zaidatun Tasir, is a professor of educational technology at the Department of Educational Science, Mathematics and Creative Multimedia, School of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, FSSH, University Technology Malaysia. She is the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. She was the chairperson of Malaysian Deans of Graduate School Council, MIDEX, 2016 to 2019. She was also the Dean of School of Graduate Studies, UTM, and a research group leader of creative and innovative technology in education site under Smart Digital Community Research Alliance. Prior to that, she was the Deputy Dean, Social Science of School of Graduate Studies from year 2009 to 2010, Deputy Dean, Postgraduate Studies and Research, 2008 to 2009, Head of Department of Postgraduate Studies, 2007 to 2008, and Information Technology Manager from 2004 to 2007 in Faculty of Education. She involved as a panel in preparing documentation for the 11 Malaysian Plan 2016 to 2020, Trust 3, Harnessing Talent's Effectiveness of Soft Program under Ministry of Education. Her research interests and expertise include design and developments of computer and web-based instruction, multiple intelligence through computer-based instruction, problem-based learning through technology, social networking tools in education, and online social learning model. Without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker to deliver her keynote speech entitled Transforming Higher Education for Ubiquitous Education and Learning. Please welcome, Prof.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much, Dr. Jamila, for the introductions about the backgrounds of myself. With the introductions, I recall back the situations where I been appointed as the academic administrators at UTMs, because at first I've been appointed as the IT managers and climbing the ladders, and now have been given the responsibility to help the UTM under the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. Let me share my slide with the titles of Transforming Higher Eds for Ubiquitous Education and Learning. First of all, thank you, the committee members, the two universities, for inviting me as a keynote speaker to share part of my knowledge on how higher ed can transform to align with the environments of ubiquitous educations and learning nowadays. So as we know that ubiquitous learning is, or educations is related to where learning can be happens at anywhere and at any times, and it can be accessed from any devices due to because of the technologies that we have nowadays. And there are many resources from any institution also, where all of our students can access it at anywhere, at any times, at using any devices. And there are fundamentals enablers who make this ubiquitous learning be a realities. The sensor devices, the developments of sensor devices, the mobile devices, and the wireless communications, and of course the ubiquitous computing itself will become, where through the pervasive computings, where computing devices have been integrated with our everyday physical worlds, through our households appliances, through our tools to learning devices, that we can embed chips, and the chips will be connect them to the infinite networks of other devices. So due to because of the capabilities and the developments of ubiquitous computing, then we get the benefits at higher eds, where ubiquitous learning can actually take place smoothly. So let me share a little bit the context of changes in the higher education landscapes today. Yesterday, I just back from the Malaysian Qualification Agency. We discussed a lot on how higher institution can survive nowadays with all the changes that happens so drastically, and also the changes because of the COVID-19. So this is where we can see that in terms of the participations of learners, we are moving to the mass participations. We are no longer actually might be talking about a small cohort of students. We are talking about the mass participations of the learners around the world. And with the COVID-19 nowadays, we can see the changes of the learning communities. Learning communities no longer involve our students, but since some of the lecturers are working at home, some of our students actually access their learning materials and having classes, might be at homes, or might be through Starbucks, through any food courts, and so on. So the learning community has been changed, not only involves our students, but it involves the families, it involves the communities, it involves everybody's. So this is actually indirectly we are moving towards the mass participation. And the states allocating professionally less to higher eds. I do not know. I believe at Indonesia's and Singapore, the governments actually invest a lot in higher educations. But in Malaysia, yes, we did invest a lot in higher ed, but we slowly give autonomies to the universities to find their own monies, to generate their own incomes, to actually be a financials in terms of financials autonomy itself, and actually the university have to find their own money. And this is where the university looking for funds beyond the public purse, where before this, I believe 20 years ago, when I joined UTM, I did not need to do marketing to funds to recruit students aggressively, but nowadays I need to do that so that UTM can survive and compete with other universities around the world. And also the partial or full deregulation of course fees. That is where we can see that the society is actually asking for fees exemptions, free educations to all sets of concepts that I think nowadays quite familiar, not only in Malaysia but in other countries around the world. And the students paying a greater proportion of the cost of the studying. There's an article stated that doctoral students in the US and European countries, they actually have quite big debts after graduated from PhD students, because they have to pay in terms of the cost of their studying. And most students actually, one thing, when they pay their tuition fees, they actually request for the qualities and tangible outcome from us at the higher ed. And the more vocationally oriented education system, I think TVET has been evolved very well in the Southeast Asian countries and also in the European countries, and more competitive national and global higher education market that have been there, so that we have to compete with them. And this and another context of change is the rise of alternative credentials, where we can see that nano degrees, micro master credentials, certificates, MOOC certificates and badges are there for us as a higher ed to compete with this kind of alternative credentials that having there. Okay, this is the developments of mobile learnings to support the ubiquitous learning. And for the postgraduate students and researchers who attend our session today with either through YouTube or Facebook, I believe this diagram is very useful for you to know a little bit on the developments of mobile learnings to support the ubiquitous learning. Gartner Group hype cycles is used as a basis to interpret, to explain on the developments of research on the use of ubiquitous computing. You can see that there are 5 phases here of the hype cycles. The technology trigger, that's the first one. Then we have the second one, which is actually the peaks of inflated expectations, the trough disillusionment, the slope of alignments, we have been slope a little bit, and of course the plateaus of productivity. So you can see that in terms of technologies, the ubiquitous computing has been there, as I did mention, since 25 years ago. But might be we are the higher ed, we can't see the needs of it. And with the COVID-19 nowadays, I believe the professors has been transformed very well, where we can call they are totally 100% IT literates, where they explore all the tools that enables them to have online classes with their students. So might be due to because of COVID-19, where we have been set up in the emergency situations. We don't have we disallowed to have face-to-face teaching and learning with our students, and it forced us to go towards online learning. And this is where the productivities, the patches of productivity phase has been explored very well by the researchers in higher ed. Okay, talking about the ubiquitous education and learning, I believe the tools, the technologies are there, but the higher ed needs to transform it very well. We, as the leaders in the higher eds, we need to transform our institution so that we can actually suit and use the advantages of ubiquitous technologies and ubiquitous competings or pervasive competings out there. So today's keynote speaker, I list 5 elements of important aspects that the higher eds need to transform so that we can actually benefit from the ubiquitous competing technologies, and we can deliver ubiquitous learning at anywhere, at any time, using any devices. The first components that I would like to share is about credentials. The second one is about the curriculum. The third one is about delivery. The fourth one is about assessment. And the last one is about the study file. If we at the higher ed did not transform on these 5 elements, I believe the existence of ubiquitous competing and pervasive competing technologies might be not being used optimally by the educators. So let us look at what do I mean by transformations on the credentials. Okay, this is the formals and conventional credentials that I believe all of our colleagues through today's session, we have this. We have our certificates, we have our bachelor degree, master's degree, and of course, a doctoral degree. So this is the formals and conventional credentials. And this is where now we need to transform. We're not supposed to be only produce this kind of credentials. We should produce more, what we call it, when we call it as micro credentials. So the micro credentials is terms that encompass the various forms of certification, including the nano degrees, the micro masters credentials, the certificates, the online badges, the license and endorsements. So this diagram actually explains very well what do we mean and how micro credentials overlapping with digital badges, overlapping with digital credentials and digital badges. So you can see that the micro credential is focusing certifications that obtained by mastering certain skills or competency, short and purposeful skill-based learning experience. And that digital credentials is related to the credential issues and hosted digitally includes the online diploma, degree, certification, and license. And digital badge is a type of digital credentials where we give it badges to all the online learners who went through specific short courses through MOOCs, might be through any micro-credential courses that actually focusing on smaller models of learning than those covered in the conventional academic award, which is actually we used to it, which often allowed learners to complete the required works over a shorter period. So now this, I believe that learners, the future learners, they're not going to sit at the higher ed for long durations like 3 to 4 years. Maybe they need to sit only about 1 or 2 years, but throughout their careers, they actually collect badges from attending short courses through online or through offline sessions. And with that, the university have to verify and to give and to recognize the badges, and how do we actually match it with our curriculum. Okay, these are examples of books that we have under MITs. We have the EDX, where the thermodynamics of material is free, where any learners around the world, they can join this course. And when you look at the curriculum of this thermodynamics of materials, it's totally reflecting the course or the subject that we offered at the universities through conventional credentials. And if we receive a student who already went through these MOOCs from MITs with the title of thermodynamics of materials, now we have to ask questions to ourselves whether we can give a transfer credits to these students who already passed the course through the online learning. And this is the contents. I would like you to see the contents. They have been divided into a small chunk block of knowledge. Usually in Malaysia, we have 14 weeks of lecture, but through micro-credentials or through MOOCs, we divide it, might be up to 27 small block of knowledge, and then it's up to the students who are going to go through to the session. If they're able to finish the 27th block of knowledge, they will get a certificates like this one. This is what I went through the Google Classroom. So I easily get one certificates that I get it from the recognized institution who actually, from MIT of course, who actually offered this short course free to all. And this is where the university have to start to recognize. We not actually receive students just finish from the high school, but we now receive learners that have high school certificates and other certificates that they actually went through from the online medium. So this is where the credentials at the university levels at higher ed need to be transformed so that we can align with the future with the needs of nowadays situations. And of course, with all the credentials, the badges and everything, so we need to transform also and explore the concept of stackable degree. With all the badges that the student have, they can stack it, they can put it, and if we recognize it, then we can say that, okay, from all the short courses that we went through from the online learning medium, we recognize that you already have 60% of the knowledge in this program, and the other 40% might be you can need to enroll into our program that might be going to take about 1.5 years. Then with that, we're going to give you a degree. So instead of they stay with you for 4 years, but they're going to have with you might be about 2 or 3 years. So this is where the alternative way, the stackable degree program is an alternative pathways for continuing education that we at the higher ed, we need to think about these potentialities on it. So this is the basic concept. You can see that you have a program. You might be divide your program into few short courses where the students can actually be awarded with certificates, and with that certificates you stack it up, then you give them a degree, a conventional degree. This is another examples where the stackable credits or recognition of prior learnings in order to widen access and filter into traditional university program. So you can see that this is a MOOC specialization. This is a university verified assessment. So what we need to do right now is just to stamp it, to verify their prior knowledge, that they actually have it through other platform or to other online institutions. Then we can plug it here. So to the block of knowledge that the student needs to cover before they will be awarded with any university award, degree, diploma, master degree, and PhD. This is where at the higher ed we need to transform. We can't anymore offering the conventional degree programs only without taking care about the future learners who already have a background in MOOC specialization in other areas that they actually went through. Might be since they are at a high school, they actually went through special courses. Okay. This is another examples for the programs of early childhood educations. So you can see that some of the courses have been covered at least through certificates, and you allow the students to get the transfer credits through the certificates that they went through, and at the end you give them might be bigger certificates or diploma on the early childhood development. This is the futures of credentials that universities should explore in the future. Okay, the next element is the curriculum. I believe when you actually have the concept of new credentials at your higher ed, then you can craft the curriculum. Because if you craft the curriculum but you did not actually transform in terms of the credentials, I believe you're not going to go far transforming higher eds for ubiquitous learning. So the next one that you need to transform is in terms of curriculum. As we know, that ubiquitous learning is where you learn student learn anywhere, anytime using any devices. So the curriculum also need to go to be transformed so that it's going to suit with the situations of ubiquitous learning. So let me just give one analogy so that everybody can actually look into it and think it together. So this is actually the block of knowledge or the courses of the subjects or the projects or the problems or the competency that might be a doctor and before a student be awarded with a medical degree. So they might be needs to cover these kinds of a block of courses and subject. And we have another sets of blocks of courses and subjects that needs to be taken by all the students who in the engineering programs. Before you become an engineer, you need to actually have these kinds of competency. And this is other program. And this is other program, the block of knowledge for other program. In reality, in the real world, when the student actually graduated in the future, they're not only going to use the block of knowledge in their program only. They actually need the overlappings of the block of knowledge between the medical program and engineering program and might be other program. And in reality, to be a good doctor, they might be need a set of block of knowledge that beyond the curriculum that they went through at the higher ed. Same goes to the engineer, same goes to the other program. So in terms of curriculum, can we actually cater the situations where to be a doctor, to be an engineer, you need not only a block of knowledge in the program only. We should allow the students to actually enroll into courses that outside the program. Okay, so we might need to think on allowing the students to go beyond their curriculum, and this is where, if we go aggressively on this, we call it as they can configure their own degree. This is what we call it undeclared or undecided major. I believe when I joined UTM as a first year student into the program, to be the educational technologists, the teachers who are going to teach who are going to teach computer science courses at the school level. But when I actually went through the first years of the studies, and I believe that I prefer more on being a mathematics teacher, not a computer science teacher. So this is where, if we have a curriculum, we call it as undeclared or undecided major, so the student have a freedom more to go through and to decide on their future when they actually register in specific program. And to guide this is what we can do, undecided major. So we need to know the competency that the people's needs behind the profession. For example, if they enjoy science, we should give them a set of curriculum that consists of applied science, biochemistry, biology, chemistry, cognitive science, exercise science, and nursing. If they actually enjoy to work with something that creative, we might going to have a curriculum. We should give them curriculums related to cinema, media communication engineering, English, graphic design, and so on. Okay. But the challenges that we face nowadays, I know, especially my friends from Malaysian University, we have the Malaysian Qualification Agency, we have the accreditation bodies, we have the program standard. But if you look at the program standard itself, it gives us a little bit freedoms to design our curriculum, to decide on to have a program, what we call it undecided major. And we have one program at UTM where we call it a Bachelor General Degree, a basic general degree program, where the student, when they enroll into the program, they did not decide on which major that they will end up later on. So they just take the general courses first, and later on they decide which block of knowledge that they would like to focus for their third and fourth years of study. And we award them with a general degree, a bachelor general degree. And of course, some of you might be thinking that the name of the degree is very important, but I believe most of the industry, when they interview their employee, they will look at the transcript, the courses that the student went through. So not only on the name of the degree. So the curriculum, you need to transform the curriculum. Okay. After we transform the credentials, the curriculum, of course, the delivery also need to go the transformation process. So in terms of delivery for the ubiquitous learning, we are not focusing only on the pedagogies, on the undergogies. We need also to focus on the synagogies, the cybergogies, and the heterogogies. With the ubiquitous learning environments that we have, I believe the student learns from anywhere, anytime, using any devices. So the self-determined learning process must be enforced in our delivery of courses at the university level. The autonomy, the learner's maturity, the learner's contribution has been the focus of ubiquitous learning. So we need to transform, we as the educators, we need to transform our teaching and learning. And with the tools out there are so many tools, free tools out there, the video conference tool, the survey tools, the screen recording tools, the team collaboration tools, the online courses tools, the virtual whiteboard tools, presentation apps, and the podcast player to file sharing, and so on. We can creatively design our teaching and learning not only focusing on teaching, but we need to focus more on learning. Give the roles of learning to our student, build trust to our students. Although we are the content expert, but we have to believe that the student might be already knows the knowledge that we're going to share in the class. So I focus on two teaching and learning strategies that I believe, after I experience it, this is a two learning and teaching strategies that I believe my friends out there in the higher ed should implement in their teaching and learning. The first one is about the pedagogies. The pedagogies is actually develops the learner's capability to the proactive process where to serve, where learners serve purpose of the agent in their own learning. Give the responsibility of learning to the student. I know, I've been taught at the higher eds almost 25 years. Sometimes to build trust to our student is quite difficult. We tend to not actually trust our student. We tend to not to believe on the student can survive by their own. But please, try to give the freedoms and the responsibility of learnings to our student. And the best way of learning is through our personal experience. And self-determines that we can do in our learning, teaching and learning, we can actually self-determines by the topic, meaning that the student can decide on the topic that they want to learn in every week. How to decide that? Of course, it's not going to be 100% freedoms to them to select the topics, but you can actually give a choices to them. Okay, maybe you can start by saying that, okay, to all my students, this is the 4 topics that we need to cover within 1 month. Which one that you would like to learn first? Then try to give a kind of freedom to the student. Then they might be going to say, Prof, can we learn it this first, and this first? Then you as a content expert, you need to advise them. Oh, maybe, yeah, this is a good idea, but a little bit we have to change it because due to the connectivity among the knowledge of topic 1, 2, and 3, and 4, might be this is the best order, and so on. This is where you can give self-determine about the topic to the student. Self-determine on the learning task. Design several learning tasks, but ask the student to decide which learning task that you would like to focus today. But it needs more time for the professors and lecturers at the university to design several learning tasks. Give freedom for assessment format. Self-determine. The student can self-determine of assessment format. I did it in my class. I put quizzes. You would like to have a take-home assignment, or you might be need something like presentations or sharings your knowledge in the class next week and so on. So I give them a freedom. Okay, but although I give several types of assessment format, but all the format is actually assess the same course learning outcome. So, but you need creativity to do that. Okay, time needed for them for learnings and also for assessment. Usually, I give a minimum and maximum time. I say that for this assessment, you have might be maximum 4 hours. Minimum is up to you. Okay, but if you want to send it earlier, yeah, you can send it earlier. If you want to request more time, you can request it, and so on. So I give freedom to my students. Team members also. This is the elements that we can ask the student to self-determine by themselves. Okay. The second one is about pedagogy. I believe pedagogy is actually a techniques that align with the ubiquitous learning environments, where you can combine the social media with pedagogy, where the futures of high-end online learning is which motivated self-learners. To survive the ubiquitous learnings and educations, the learners must be motivated self-learners, where they're going to collaborate through the varieties of social media to create, deliver, and learn and a great curriculum. And each learners actually serve as an instructor role because they meet several friends when they actually go through the ubiquitous learning environment. They also know that they are play the instructor roles inside their self also. So the key point here is that to all my friends there, don't overload the students. Let them learn from YouTube, from frequently asked questions section, or linking them to an expert. through the online learning medium, ubiquitous learning environments nowadays, you just need to link your student with the expert around the world. It's so easy. And before this, it's quite difficult and challenge for us to invite any expert in our class. Now, it's so easy. Tomorrow morning, you can invite the founders of pedagogy learning theory into your teaching, into your instructional design class, because everything can do it through online. So please don't overlook the student. Let the students learn from any resources that they have out there. But what you need to do as an instructor, be selective. You need to select which learning materials that they should focus in their teachings and learning. Okay, the next elements that they need to transform is assessment. No point you transform your credential, curriculum and delivery, but you did not transform your assessment. So please, at higher ed, I would like to stress it, we are focusing on assessment. We are not focusing on evaluation. I keep actually sharing ideas to all that higher ed is not a place to punish people. I believe having tests, having a final exam with a certain duration of time, is type of punishing students. Because in the real life, when the student graduated from the higher ed, they will join the industry. And to solve the industry problem is an open book test. They can refer into any resources that we have out there. But might be some of us worried a little bit on how to assess the student performance. So that's why assessment is more on to recheck whether the student have already covered the knowledge that you want them to cover from your class. So that's why focus more on assessment. I went through a process of assessment when I did my master's at US. My professor give me more than one time for me to prepare the assignments and attend the test. He says that, Zaida, this is the first time that you submit the assignment. And this is the marks that I give to you, might be 6/10. If you want to improve your assignment, I allow you to do it within 1 week. So I did it for the second time, and I got it 8/10. And my professors again say that, you want to redo it again to improve it again? Yes, I said. I did it again. And I improved my assignment back. And at the end, through 3 times of doing it, I got 9/10. So that is assessment. And this is where I would like to everybody to be open a little bit. Okay, this is the nature of assessment that I categorize as passive assessment, because it's just to check, and then might be a little bit you punish the students. Examination essay, go back is about commentary forms related to English, multiple choice questions. This is, you can see that this is more on passive assessment. What I need you to do is that please transform to implement what we call it assessments that involve active participation by the student. The portfolio, the presentation, the direct observation, the project-based assessment, the problem-based assessment, and concept map. This is a part of the assessments that related to the active participation of the student. And this is some of the alternative assessments that we in Malaysia focusing through our Ministry of Higher Education. We have the authentic assessment, performance-based assessment, personalized, integrated, real-time assessment, contemporary, challenge-based assessment, and profiling assessment. Okay, if in your class you are having what we call it competition-based, you have a competition in your class, then you actually implement what we call it challenge-based assessment. Okay, and this is one of the real example in my real class. I actually teach authoring language, a programming class for the undergraduate students and postgraduate student. So I divide my 100% assessment into 20% challenge-based, 10% for the real-time assessment, 30% for authentic. I have a contemporary assessment for 30%, project-based examination. Okay, it's more on take-home actually. I have 5% for blog and 5% of e-portfolio. This is one of the examples that I do in my class. And this is also, you can see that through Facebook, you can see If you're interested to do real times assessment, you can use a poll facilities in Facebook. And if you just want to have recommendation from the students, you can actually use the tools or ask for recommendation and so on. Okay. The last one that the higher ed need to transform is about the study path. Okay, we need to actually transform the study path of our student, not only from high school, university, and professional job. We need to focus on the experience education models. From the high schools, maybe the students are going to join a technical training. Then from that, they can join the community college, join the internship, and later on, after 10 years working at the industry, then they join the university back. And with this, if we have this kind of flexible study path, then higher ed actually supporting ubiquitous learning and education. I share a little bit on our higher eds in Malaysia. We have what I call it the fluid and organic curriculum structure. This is where we focus on three important things: the assessment, the 8 alternative assessment, the delivery modes, and also the structures of curriculums, where we ask the higher ed in Malaysia to transform it as to align with the 4IR revolution. The key point here is the futures of higher ed degree attainment. We have to consider on the concept of stackable credentials, not only the conventional credentials, the competency-based educations, where we actually divide our program into a chunk and small modules that focus on competency. And of course, also another thing is that we should consider having what I call it blockchain-based transcript. Blockchain-based transcript is where we are not going to produce transcript at the end of the student study after 4 years of study. Every semester we produce a transcript, what we call it a blockchain transcript. And the transcript consists of competency that students have been covered at the university. And we share this transcript to the industry, to everyone around the world, just to tell them that these candidates have these kinds of competency. And even though they are not finished yet their degree, any industry out there can recruit the student because they have the competency. They have the block of knowledge that might be the industry one. And we award them with a small credential. Okay. So with that, thank you very much to all for your concentrations and for your session with me. I hope my sessions should give ideas to all of you how to transform higher eds to fit into the ubiquitous learning education. Back to you, Dr. Jamila. Thank you very much.
Prof. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Zaidatun, for her wonderful keynote speech. Now, I would like to invite the audience for the question and answer session. All right, Prof. We have one question here by Tuzairi Henry. If we give freedom to our students, but they are still unable to commit or adapt to the new environment of online teaching and learning, specifically with the time management or internet access, digital fatigue, how can we handle such situation?
Okay, thank you for the ones who asking the question. Yeah, I face this in my class. I give you the real example. I have 30 students in my class. So the first weeks that I'm having a lecture, I identify first their prior knowledge. Not all of your 30 students can survive. Might be out of 30 students, you have 10 students who really independent. They can actually be independent learner. They can actually explore so many notes. And sometimes I learn from them. They actually bring notes to me. They say, Prof, there's a new articles about this. And they share with me. Okay, the 10 student. Now you might have the other 10 student in the middle of it. They are not so independent. They need you. This is where you give them guideline. Okay, and those who come from the independent student, they can be the peer mentor for the other 10 students who not being independent enough. And what happened to the other 10? The last 10 is too dependent on you. This is where you're going to have an extra session for this with this only 10 dependent students. And you have to leave it up. You tell them, I have only 2 weeks to move you from the 10 dependent group to so-called independence, and later on everybody will be an independent. learner. So this is what you need to do. And as a professors in higher ed, this is the role of the first year educators. This is the role of educator who teach the first year student. That's why the first year student, the first semester and first year student must be taught by professor, so that the professor can build this competency to the student. And it must be continued to the second semester, the third, and so on. So this is why we built the independent citizen for our children. So we need to try somehow, start somehow, so that we can have an independent learners. Okay, that's all the answer you can share to the one who asked the question.
Thank you, Prof. Our heartfelt appreciation to Professor Dr. Zaidatun Tasir for your willingness, Prof, to join us today. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are reminded for the attendance and e-certificate to please fill in the Google form from the link listed in the Facebook comment. Next, I would like to welcome our second keynote speaker of the virtual international conference on ubiquitous education and learning visual 2020, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono, MSI, Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. Please allow me to read his biodata. Hadi Suwono is a lecturer at the Department of Biology and the Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences of University of Negeri Malang, Indonesia. Apart from teaching and providing training on various learning innovations, he is also assisting educational innovation programs in Indonesia. He has been active as a consultant for SQIP JTZ from 1997 to year 2004, managing basic education USAID from 2004 to 2007, UNICEF 2007, an advisor on the LAPIS PGMI USAID program from 2008 to 2009, and he is currently a USAID DBE 3 consultant. He's graduated from SI Biology, S1 Biology Education in 1990, graduated S2 from ITB in 1993, and S3 from University of Negeri Malang in 2007. His expertise are interdisciplinary biology curriculum and teaching for the 21st century learners and teachers. Without further ado, I would like to invite our second speaker to deliver his keynote speech entitled Developing Interdisciplinary Curriculum in Biology Education. Please welcome Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Jamila, and thank you, the committee of the VICUEL conference to invite us to be keynote speaker in this conference. Please allow me to share screen my presentation. Okay, you can see my presentation. Okay, yeah. Please allow me to introduce my university, Universitas Negeri Malang, and the abbreviation of Universitas Negeri Malang is UM, not UNM. UNM is Universitas Negeri Makassar. My university, Universitas Negeri Malang, in 1999 transformed from institution of teacher training and education, or we call Institut Keguruan and Ilmu Pendidikan. established in 1954, and then in 1999 transformed become Universitas Negeri Malang. So our faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences now have many kind program study separate onto kind pure science and education. In every department, maybe the management of our faculty may be different with the other university. In other university, maybe have the faculty of education, and we have a faculty of education. But in our faculty, we have a study program of science, science, and science education. An example in mathematics, we have mathematics and mathematics education only in physics, chemistry, biology, and so on. We have a study program, bachelor degree, master degree, and also in doctoral degree, especially in mathematics education, physics education, chemistry education, biology education. Okay. Thank you for Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, Universitas Teknologi Malaysia, to welcome us to be a collaborator in this conference, and I hope we have many collaboration. We have many collaboration at many areas with between UM and UTM. We have collaboration with Faculty of Mathematics, Faculty of Science in UTM, and also we have collaborated with the Faculty of Social and Humanities UTM. I think UM is not far from UTM. You can go to Malang 2 hours by plane from Johor to Surabaya, and then 2 hours land transportation by car from Surabaya to Malang. If you visit Malang, don't forget to visit many interesting areas in Malang, such as Bromo craters, Kawah Ijen. You can see the blue fire, and also in not far from Malang, Batu City, the small city 20 kilometers western from Malang. It have many kind interesting places such as Jawa Timur Park, Museum Satwa, and Museum Angkut. I inviting lecturer, professor, or colleges from UTM maybe next year to come to my university. Okay, I will start my presentation about the transdisciplinary biology curriculum and teaching for 21st century student. Yeah, okay. We can back again with the surah in Al-Quran, in Surat Al-Baqarah verse 30, that means that Allah created human as his caliph, in the sense that human must enforce their duties to protect and utilize the earth following the Allah guidance. It's mean then all actions that are not under his will violate the meaning and duties of the caliphate in the earth. Human to protect and utilize the all resources in the earth, human must be knowledgeable to explain the universe. And we conclude then learning biology include carrying out the commands of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, because by knowing his creatures, we think of knowing the greatness of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Biology is science that primarily explore the living things in our world. Biology studies explore how the various of organisms function and how organisms adapt and develop and better understand the world natural processes. Biologists study the characteristic of organisms from subcellular, unicellular, cellular, and multicellular organismal system and ecosystem. Biology is the complex of interaction between chemistry, physical, and also between the individual and population, and also interaction between population and population in the ecosystem to make the balance of the globe. Okay. The biology disciplines maybe differ from another discipline such as physics or chemistry because of the complexity of content knowledge and its interconnection with other knowledge at various levels. All areas of biology have a tendency toward integration within discipline compared to other sciences. Cutting edge biology research requires researchers to integrate interdisciplinary knowledge from other disciplinary domains such as physics, chemistry, digital technology, engineering, and also mathematics to tackle and solve the most challenging problem in the world today related to stunting, health, energy, food, environment, and poverty. Stunting and poverty is the big problem in Indonesia as developing countries. We have also problem with health, with energy, with food, and also the environment. Advanced in biology, genetics, or maybe biotechnology have raised concern about some our society biology application. Example of scientific problem related to biology include producing and consuming genetically modified foods, disease, pandemics, health, and also our problem, the global warming. This issue is a big issue, and in teaching and learning in biology, we use this issue as a basis for the developing of the knowledge of the student. Biology is one of the fields that benefit from interdisciplinary interaction. Okay, before we talk about the transdisciplinary, we discuss first about interdisciplinary. Okay, biology is one of the fields that benefit from interdisciplinary and also transdisciplinary interaction, which is in the process of continuous transformation, both theoretically and driven by technology. The revival of system biology has been made possible with the development of molecular biology. Several interdisciplinary fields are involved in the study of biology, such as the informatics, which combine knowledge of biology, molecular biology, biochemistry, computer science, information technology, statistics, mathematics, and also synthetic biology, drawn from molecular biology, evolutionary biology, biotechnology, chemical engineering, electricity, and computer. I think in biology, we focus on biodiversity. Our nation, Indonesia, and also maybe Malaysia have many biodiversity. We big biodiversity country. We have many kind of plant. We have many kind of animal, and I think animal, plant, we can study and develop by research to make to become food, to become energy, and to protect the environment. Two contrasting feature characteristic in contemporary research trends in biology. One of them is process enhancement and specialization and interdisciplinary biology, which requires scientists to attain the appropriate level of expertise in particular research field. This trend is aimed at mastering scientific disciplines and in-depth study into further subfields. Another trend in biology research, which has developed over the last few decades, is to increase cooperation at the interdisciplinary levels and across and outside disciplines. We call interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research. It aims to bring scientists with different expertise and resources with the possibility of mutual enrich each other and to develop new synthetic insight of science. The need to involve multiple disciplines arises when scientists realize that some biological issues are too complex to be handled effectively by a single field of study. A concrete example is the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic, we know that influence of many countries in the world. The pandemic influenced the economic growth globally. suppress sustainable development, and has many social implications. I think it takes competencies and tools from various disciplines to solve this problem. The various disciplines such as biology, chemistry, health, engineering, mathematics, medicine, and social sciences to study cause and effects, impacts, and develop solutions. It is also recognized that many systems or phenomena can and should be investigated in different level and from different points of view, given the multidisciplinary nature. Uh, Takes for example COVID-19, we can be referred as in biology can research about the virus as organisms or chemical compound or biological agents or disease or pandemics. And we also can study about the impact of the COVID-19 to the community, to the economy, to the health, and it's how to produce the people with the immune, how to produce medicine to protect from the COVID-19. Its level of the organization raises specific problems that then must be studied through the appropriate strategies and methods and interaction between the different levels. Okay. Okay, I think that many field promoting trends of science education. The first is social problems, so scientific issues that need to be addressed and response to the by student or by student when they back to the community. And the number two is the natural resources to meet the challenges of the community needs. And third, about social problems that requires a suitable solution, and for the technology base. That technology has been used as a state assess knowledge delivery in education. Okay. The value teaching encourages students to develop a positive outlook on science and biology. Also, this teaching must relevant to the student need at both at the individual and also in social level. We prepare students for everyday life and their future careers and participant in society. The relevant science education concept is also related to scientific literacy. Namely, science education must prepare students for everyday life and their future careers and society participation. I think the student should respond to the challenge of the wider community more effectively and urgently. Yeah. Okay. Education call to respond the challenges of the wider community more effectively and urgently. Issues such as climate change, food, water, energy, public health, and security. First, we need to know that we solve the problem, and second, we must accept that problems cannot be solved solely by the subject from one discipline because of their complexity. And third, as we learn more about ourselves and are regularly exposed to new modes of knowledge, we must always pay attention to the relationship between the complexity and interdisciplinary. Um, the aims of the teaching of biology, the first is to make a student understanding biology to foster faith in God, and second, we maintain environmental sustainability, and the third, apply science concept and principle, and fourth, develop scientific work and scientific thinking, and fifth, develop knowledge of biology and it relation to others, to other disciplines, yeah, and cultivate scientific attitudes. We know that the aims of biology education covering the dimension of religious, number first, understanding biology to foster faith in God, and social dimension, the number two, maintain environment sustainability, and also apply science concept and principle in the daily life, and also environmental dimension, And third, individual dimension about develop scientific work and scientific thinking, develop knowledge, biology, and its relation to other, and cultivate scientific attitude. Research about biology and reality, especially in Indonesia, research on teaching biology education curriculum show that students often learn isolated facts and do not have an integrated understanding of the relationship between concepts. For example, understanding about genes and protein synthesis. The student cannot relate what the connection between gene synthesis and also between protein synthesis and the phenotype organisms and so on. And the student they do not have relation between concept in biology and other scientific discipline, such as the relation between mathematics and biology and economy, and also maybe biology and physics and biology and other discipline. And we found that our discussion with biology teachers so that there are concern about dealing with inevitable problems. The teacher want to know about how to teach student. The student can understand about the problems and can solve the problem. Uh, In many times, the process of teaching and learning in biology education focus on monodisciplinary approach. A monodisciplinary approach to practice and research means that only one discipline is brought up to solve a problem. People working with one discipline, research with one object, share the same paradigm and use standard methodologies and speak the same language and terminology. Although a single discipline work has its place, it is limiting when trying to solve problems, especially societal problems, as only one lens is used to deal with complex dynamics. Our education system in the previous years limited only a disciplinary perspective convinced. As a result, our students are oriented more into discipline than universals. As a result, our students, they do not study reality, and as a result, some learners have not even awakened to the awareness that the university is a coherent whole made up of several layers of reality, and what we can no longer study effectively just one aspect of problem. As a student is taught by experts who specialize in a particular field or subdiscipline, such as in high school in Indonesia in grade 10 to grade uh, 11. A student is taught by biology teachers, not a science teacher. And when the student is taught by biology teachers as expert in biology, the student um, only learn about this discipline biology and subdiscipline of biology. To internalize what has been taught to him without question. Question is mean about question about what is the how to apply the concept of biology in the everyday life, how to make relation between biology and other discipline. The culture of teaching with a monodiscipline produced by this kind of learning, and we know that we separate teachers winning and loser, and the winning is a good of student, and the winning is a good student with a memorization. A transdisciplinary approach can provide society at large and student in particular with the tools to understand and interpret social reality. Transdisciplinary helps several meanings, and it refers to what's cross-discipline, between disciplines, on and beyond all disciplines. Many authors define transdisciplinary as a collaborative process in producing knowledge involving multiple disciplines and stakeholders that aims for solution to very complex real-world problems. Transdisciplinary educations aim to understand to the world rather than focusing on single part in all of its complexity. In the history of biology education, teaching biology can be categorized into two phases, namely biology for life and biology for living. The focus of teaching biology for life is that students understand the terminology, concept, theories, and biological laws, or maybe also the biological processes, chemical processes, biochemical processes, and so on. The focus of teaching biology concerning human welfare of biology for life is teaching biology according to the student needs. Combining these two visions, direct teaching biology goals to motivate students to understand the application science in everyday life and make scientific evidence-based decisions about scientific problems such as healthcare, environmental policy, nutrition, and health food. Besides that, it also develops students to be critical, productive, and problem solvers. Over the past several decades, research interest in the transdisciplinary of science, the cross-curricular relationship between different domains, have become prominent in the science education literature. Some of this transdisciplinary research, such as social scientific issues by Setter et Davison, science, technology, society, environment, history, and philosophy of science, Nature of Science by Duran, Lederman et al. 2002, and also Kaya in their their publication in 2018. They propose a concept of SAMI, States, Academia, Market, and Industry. NOS is characterized as a broad research area in science education that combines perspective based on the cognitive, epistemic, social, political, scientific, and economic aspect of science education, and aim to understand how science works. And SAMI, this abbreviation from State, Academic, Market, and Industry, it's how the teaching science to link between state, nation, academia, market, and industry. We propose the model or the concept of teaching transdisciplinary biology by the GAIS, Government, Academia, Industry, and Society. The GAIS framework provides a practical and visual tools which could have enhanced not only the comprehensive understanding of social aspect of how biology operates in society, but also student and teachers' awareness on the relevance of biology within the states, academia, industry, society, and the relationship with one another. This framework adopts a holistic view subject matters and illustrate the links between concepts by breaking down the subject boundaries. Within this sense, this aspect also provide by improvement in the awareness in the cross-curricular links. By realizing the relationship between state government, academia, social, and industry, and making science more relatable to everyday life, this framework represents society, represent the real life. In that case, the framework helps students see that the everyday application of biology and the operations of the scientific process from academia to industry, rather than the only focusing on how science operates within the academia. Besides, due to the inclusion of scientific ethos and social values, this framework also integrates an ethical dimension to our understanding. Due to its inclusion, is a powerful visual tools to represent how science works within the individual and in industry and society. And also the phase of education, it's mean the level of education from the primary school to junior secondary school, and the high school or university. The curriculum and in in the lower of education focus on academic and society, and maybe we relate the entrepreneurship and industry. But when we teach biology and high level, such as in upper secondary school or in university in department of biology, or maybe in department of biology education, we relate all the context of biology with the industry, and the core of the process of teaching with in academia relating to the society and industry is to improve the scientific knowledge and the procedure, also to improve the professionalism performance. A student can produce the innovation and creativity, and also student improve their research and also the entrepreneurship to produce tools or to produce products that can be developed by industry. At the Department of Biology, State Universitas Negeri Malang, we also developing we call by industry and by entrepreneurship to develop undergraduate biology education and biology education that involve interdisciplinary studies to understand better how science function and help society. Regarding integrating of many aspects, socio-cultural, health, political, environmental, economic, and entrepreneurial into the curriculum of biology learning, is also most convenient the skills. The transdisciplinary curriculum in biology, I think, relate to the policy of Ministry of Education and Culture Republic of Indonesia about the curriculum Merdeka Belajar, independent learning curriculum. In practice, it is necessary to prepare how curriculum and syllabus on practical application of the conceptual framework of GAIS. The syllabus determine what the teachers teaches in the class. The first biology education that involves both science and non-science sources of practices. Problem solving involves collaboration among various stakeholders to meet complex social challenges. To share learning, all participant knowledge is enhanced in his innovation, creation, problem solving. And I think this new learning is used to design solution to complex intervention social problem collectively. Transdisciplinary learnings explore relevant concept problems that integrates various disciplines perspective to connect new knowledge and a more profound understanding with the real life experiences. The transformation of biology education is necessary, and the goal is to strengthen of biology learning in biology subjects that reinforce everyday concept and benefits. The biology curriculums make that in Indonesia, I'm sorry, the curriculum biology in Indonesia, I think, in only in mechanical structure, full the content, and I think it's need to transform into the curriculum related to the student needs, such as in the primary education in grade fifth, in semester 1, the standard competence is the student can identify the function of human and animal organism. I think when we teach about the standard competence about the identify a function of humans, physiology of humans and animal organs, I think we can integrate many aspects in this teaching about health. It's about health to the aims to student can maintain health and prevent disease related to the pollution, how to reduce the activities that have an impact on pollution. because students know that pollution can impact our lungs and impacts and also in our physiology. And in social, as social aspect, we can improve the care for people with special need, or maybe entrepreneurship, creating a tools to decrease the pollution impact, or creating a tools to help people with special need, and also the aspect of religion, how to grateful to Allah. The teaching using in transdisciplinary curriculum, we develop teaching using tasks and problems, procedure and techniques work in practice from conclusion independently based on finding, investigation.
I'm sorry, Prof. Can we go for the question and answer session, Prof?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
Because the time limited. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Maybe you want to end for the last slide, Prof?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I think we can discuss about our concept of transdisciplinary biology teaching. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Very interesting, Prof. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono from Universitas Negeri Malang, UM. Now, I would like to invite the audience for the questions and answer session. All right, Prof, we have a question here from Alfia. Question is how to link the gap between the biology curriculum and what is needed by the social life. Do you get the question, Prof?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yes, please,
Prof. Okay. Thank you for the question. Yeah. We can link between the biology curriculum and real life problem, social problem, or maybe our nation problem. In teaching, we start with the problems, social science problem. Also, we start with the question how to produce something. An example, if we want to, if we teach about the pandemics 19 caused by the virus, we can make medicine of in Indonesia we call jamu. Maybe you know about jamu. Yeah. How to make the jamu to protect us, to improve our immune, to protect us about the a virus. It's need the innovative or creativity from the teachers to make link from the curriculum with the daily life problems. And we start with the first we make a mind map to what the link between this concept of biology with the other discipline, such as link with the health, the economy, and the geography, and also the chemistry. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Again, our heartfelt appreciation to Professor Dr. Hadi Suwono for his willingness to join us today. To the audience, you are invited for the parallel session. Please have a look at the website for the link via WebEx. Have a pleasant day to everyone. Thank you very much.